Virgo. The moment your eyes opened this morning, something in you already knew. Before your mind could explain it, before you'd even checked the time, your soul had already shifted. Today is not a normal day, and by the time this ends, you'll understand exactly why your intuition felt it first. Something felt different the second you woke up today, didn't it? Maybe it was the light through your window, heavier somehow, or, strangely, soft. Maybe it was the silence in the room sitting differently than it usually does. Or maybe it was something lower, in your chest, in your stomach, a pull, a pressure, a quiet certainty that today would not be like yesterday. You are not imagining this. Here is what was happening in the sky while you were still half asleep. For nearly a month now, Mercury, your ruling planet, has been retrograde, moving backward through the heavens, dragging up old conversations, unfinished decisions, and second thoughts you couldn't quite shake. You felt foggy, delayed, like your own mind, the sharpest tool you own, was somehow running behind itself. Today, that ends. Mercury is standing still in the sky right now, at the exact turning point, hours away from finally moving forward again. And here is something almost nobody talks about. The moment right before a planet turns direct is always the most intense. It is the deepest point of the pause, the final held breath before release. You didn't wake up unsettled today, Virgo. You woke up standing at the exact threshold your own ruling planet is standing at. Of course you felt it. You are wired to that planet more closely than any other sign in this zodiac, and it does not stop there. Later today, the sun itself finishes crossing out of Cancer's quiet waters and steps fully into Leo, beginning one of the loudest, most attention-hungry stretches of the entire astrological year. 2 major shifts, landing on the same day. That almost never happens. This is why the air felt different before you had a single fact to explain it. Here is what most people misunderstand about you, Virgo. You are not overly sensitive. You are precisely calibrated. Ruled by Mercury, the planet of thought and pattern, you are built to register a shift in the room before anyone else even suspects. The room has changed. You catch the typo everyone else missed. You feel the tension before a single word is spoken. You know a plan will fail 5 steps before it actually does. So when your own ruling planet reaches its most intense turning point and the sun changes signs on the very same day, your body was never gonna miss it. You always notice first. You are simply the only one who ever admits it out loud. But here is where it gets interesting for you specifically. Leo season does not belong to you, not yet. Your season is still a month away. And that is exactly the point. The universe is not asking you to perform or shine or take center stage the way Leo does. It is asking you to quietly get ready. Let's talk about the argument that has been happening inside you for weeks, Virgo. On one side, your mind, sharp, exacting, addicted to proof, the part of you that needs a reason in writing before it will fully commit to a feeling. On the other side, your intuition, quiet, persistent, almost always right, and if we're honest, almost always ignored. You were taught somewhere along the way that a feeling without evidence doesn't count. That "I just have a sense about this" isn't a real enough reason to change your mind in a world that only seems to respect data. So you learn to translate intuition into logic after the fact. You felt something was wrong and then spent hours building the case to justify what you already knew in the first 5 seconds. This has made you extraordinary at what you do. You are the person everyone quietly trusts to catch what they missed. But it has also meant your own inner voice has had to get louder and louder just to be heard, because you kept demanding it show its homework first. For the past few weeks, with Mercury retrograde pulling your ruling planet backward through old ground, that inner argument has been especially loud. Old situations resurfaced. A person from your past reappeared, in thought if not in person. A decision you thought was finished suddenly reopened itself. That was not a setback. That was Mercury making sure you had every piece of information before it let you move forward for real. Today, as your ruling planet finally reaches its turning point, the static between your logic and your intuition is clearing for the first time in weeks. The two sides of you that have been quietly arguing are finally speaking the same language at the same time. That is why today felt different before you had a single fact to explain it. Think about the last few weeks honestly. A situation you've been quietly overanalyzing. A person whose real intentions you couldn't quite pin down. A decision you kept delaying because you didn't have enough information yet. You have had enough information for a while now, Virgo. You simply did not trust yourself enough to close the file. Something in you is ready to stop gathering evidence and start acting on what you already know. This is not recklessness. This is not you abandoning the analytical mind that has protected you your entire life. This is your intuition and your intellect finally sitting on the same side of the table for the first time in weeks. And once those two forces align, Virgo, you become almost impossible to mislead because you are no longer operating on half of your intelligence. You are operating on all of it. That is what shifted the moment you woke up. Now let's talk about the signs, because you've probably already seen a few and quietly told yourself it was nothing. Repeating numbers on the clock. 11, 11, 3:33, 4:44. Showing up just often enough that you've started to notice, even while telling yourself it doesn't mean anything. A song playing at the exact moment you needed its lyrics. A name crossing your mind for no reason, followed within hours by that exact person reaching out or resurfacing somewhere in your day. A dream that felt less like a dream and more like a memory you hadn't lived yet. These are not glitches, Virgo. These are breadcrumbs. And the universe does not waste them on people who aren't ready to follow the trail. Let's make this specific to you. In your work or whatever project you've quietly been obsessing over in private, a piece of it that never made sense before is about to click into place. You'll realize you were building towards something bigger than the task itself. Venus is currently moving through your own sign for the first time in over a year, quietly making sure your effort finally gets seen the way it deserves to be. In your body, you've likely been sent the same signal more than once already, filed under, "I'll deal with it later." Today is a gentle nudge to stop postponing what your body has already told you, clearly more than once. In your relationships, someone is about to show you exactly who they are. Through a small comment, a pattern you finally cannot unsee, a moment of unexpected honesty. You will not need to ask twice. You already read people better than they read themselves. And in the quiet corner of your life where your self-worth lives, the part of you that has always measured your value by how much you accomplish, how much you fix, how much you carry for other people, a very different message is arriving. You are allowed to matter without earning it first. That may be the most important sign of all, Virgo, and it is not a coincidence that it's arriving while Venus sits in your own sign, gently insisting that your worth was never up for debate. Not every sign has to look mystical to be meaningful. Sometimes the clearest message from the universe is simply the feeling of relief when you finally stop pretending you don't already know the answer. If you felt that today, even once, that quiet exhale, that small internal, "Oh, that was not nothing." That was your soul confirming exactly what your intuition already whispered to you the second you opened your eyes this morning. Here is what is actually happening beneath the surface of your life right now, Virgo, whether you can fully see it yet or not. You are shedding a version of yourself you have already outgrown, not dramatically, not all at once, quietly, the way real transformation almost always happens, underground, in the dark, long before anything visible changes above the surface. Think of a seed buried in soil, cracked open by pressure it never asked for, growing roots before it ever grows a single leaf. No one applauds a seed for that work. No one even sees it happening. But without it, nothing above the ground is ever possible. That is exactly where you are. Look up tonight if you can. The moon is waxing, almost full but not quite there yet, sitting just over 60% lit. That is not a coincidence of timing. You are in the same phase, almost revealed, not yet finished, building steadily towards something whole. The old version of you believed rest had to be earned, that love had to be proven through usefulness, that if you weren't fixing something, helping someone, improving some part of your life, you didn't have permission to simply exist. That version of you is not being punished right now. She is not being torn down. She is being completed. Because the truth, the one your intuition has been trying to hand you for weeks now, is that your worth was never actually in question. Only your belief in it was. This strange mixture you're feeling today, part exhaustion, part clarity, part heaviness, part relief, is the sensation of an old identity finishing its final chapter. And here is the part that matters most. What you do with the next 4 weeks while Leo season plays out loudly around you and your own season quietly approaches this August will shape exactly what you harvest when it arrives. If you spend this time still trying to prove your worth through overworking, overfixing, overfunctioning for people who never once asked you to carry them, you will walk into your season exhausted the same way you always have before. But if you use this quiet underground window to actually listen when your intuition speaks, to rest without needing a reason, to trust the knowing that arrives before the evidence does, you will walk into Virgo season as someone entirely new, not a better version of the old you, a truer one. This is not a small shift happening in your life today. This is a soul-level renovation. And it started the exact moment you opened your eyes this morning and felt that something had already changed. You were right. Something had. So, what do you actually do with all of this, Virgo? Because out of every sign in this zodiac, you are the one who wants a clear next step. You don't want vague spirituality. You want a plan. Fair enough. Here it is. First, before you reach for logic today, pause for 3 seconds and notice what your gut already told you, not the version you'll build a justification for later. The first flash, the one that arrived before you had time to overthink it. That flash is the truest data you own. Second, keep something nearby today, your notes app, a scrap of paper, anything at all. Every time a sign shows up, a number, a name, a strange coincidence, write it down instead of dismissing it. You are building yourself a record of proof because you are the kind of person who eventually needs to see a pattern in writing before you'll fully trust it. That's fine. Give yourself the evidence you need. Third, and this one will be harder than it sounds, let yourself rest today without earning it first. No task list to justify it. No productivity to point to afterward. Just rest, because your soul is doing enormous work right now that has nothing to do with your to-do list. Fourth, if a decision has been sitting unfinished because you wanted more information, ask yourself honestly whether you actually need more information, or whether you've simply been afraid to trust what you already know. With Mercury finally releasing its grip, today is an unusually clear day to close that file for good. None of this requires you to abandon who you are. You are still going to be the most detail-oriented, most reliable, most quietly brilliant sign in the entire zodiac. You are simply being asked to add one more skill to that list: the ability to trust yourself before the proof arrives. That is not irrational, Virgo. That is the entire point of intuition. It is intelligence that has not finished explaining itself yet. The heaviness you woke up with today was never a warning. It was an invitation. And whether you accept it quietly, in the privacy of your own thoughts, or you say it out loud for the first time today, the truth stays exactly the same. You already know. You have known for a while now. Today was simply the day the sky finally caught up to what your soul already understood. If even one moment of this felt like it was speaking directly to you, Virgo, that is not a coincidence. And by now, you already understand exactly why. You did not find this video by accident today. Some part of you needed exactly this on exactly this day. And some part of you has known that since the second you woke up. So here is what I'm asking of you. If your intuition has been trying to reach you lately, and today finally felt like proof, comment the word "awakened" below, so I know this reached the person it was actually meant for. Subscribe and turn on notifications, because the sky keeps moving and tomorrow brings its own message. I don't want you to miss what's coming for you next. Your season is closer than it has ever felt. And everything you are feeling right now, the heaviness, the clarity, the strange sense that something has already changed, none of it is confusion, it is preparation. I'll see you in the next reading, Virgo.